What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Atlantic Files, the number one podcast and the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein. We got Dennis Big Sexy Clausen in the building. I was going to say Big Saucin. I was going to combine sexy and your last name, and it was going to be Saucin.
I thought you were going to say sausage.
I mean, we could go with that too if you want that to be your nickname.
There's so many different ways we could go from that. So let's let's start things off and
I mean, it could also just be Big Saucin, because isn't there that NFL player now whose name is like Sauce Gardner?
Yeah, the Jets.
Yeah. Big Saucin, you know?
I forget his first name though, but everybody just calls him Sauce.
It's like Shake Milton. Like, Shake's not his real first name.
Like, how did it, like, the only nickname I got when I was like a kid growing up was Chubby. You know, like, how come I couldn't get like a good, you know, like somebody's like, we knew right away we were going to call him Hercules because he was throwing people around when he was 3.
Like, you should have started throwing people around.
I mean, I tried, but I mean, but for some reason, like, you know, I was sitting around eating ice cream and shit when I was like 5 years old. I was a fat kid, and everybody's called me Fatso. So that's what stuck.
I mean, I only got Fish due to my last name, so it wasn't like anything.
Not original, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like exciting.
Right.
Like, it's not like I can't even swim that well, so. But, I mean.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
It's the way the good Lord made you.
At this point, we can make up our own nicknames because who cares?
I pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't want to.
Mike makes us.
Mike makes us pay taxes.
All right, so we got some basketball to talk. The conference finals series, conference finals series.
What's going on? What the fuck is going on in this? Everything's crazy right now.
I have no idea. It really doesn't. We're gonna start here with Phoenix because I've been wanting to talk about this ever since it happened. Phoenix got railed at home. Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks after Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and company were talking all sorts of trash because they went up in the series 2-0. They won the first 2 games. And then there was that video of Devin Booker like flopping and falling on the ground. And then he like looked up and said, oh, it's the Luka special. Someone brought up the stats and said, ever since he said that, the Luka special thing, the Mavericks outscored them by like 50 or 60 points in the next game and a half.
Well, this just goes to, for one, the Suns got, can you say butt rape still in 2022?
I don't know if it's technically allowed, but...
Is there a better phrase?
We're saying it.
Tell me there's a better phrase. They got butt raped, all right? So... And what's so crazy about this postseason, there's no such thing as home court advantage.
True.
Like, everybody's beating other teams on their home floor, and, like, it means nothing anymore. And the fact that Luka, I mean, consider the starting lineup. Like, Jalen Brunson is the only guy who's, like, a relatively consistent scorer, and he played like shit throughout the playoffs for the most part. Well, not for the most part, but for some games he played like complete garbage. Spencer Dinwiddie is a good player, but he just hasn't figured out his role. We don't know who's starting between Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber. Davis Bertans comes out of nowhere. So basically what I'm trying to say, Dorian Finney-Smith, like, okay, he's played well, but he's not like a guy like is going to play consistently like well. So really, when you think about it, like, Luka took that entire team by himself to the Western Conference Finals And the way the Warriors have been playing, like the Warriors got butt raped against Memphis in Game 5, and they got butt raped without John Morant.
True.
Which for like it reiterates my point that I still feel that Tyus Jones is the best backup in the league, but that's
True.
off the topic. The Mavericks could win the NBA championship this year. So if the Mavericks win the NBA championship, like Luka's going to be like right up there in the MVP conversation. And I would actually go and say that he would already be considered a better player than Giannis.
I mean, especially winning a championship that quick in his career and winning a championship without like a second star. Because as of right now, like with the team he has, you look at the team that Giannis won with that had Drew, Chris Middleton. Those guys are way better than the supporting cast that Luka Doncic has. Other than maybe Brunson has turned himself into a very good player. But the rest of the team, other than Spencer Dinwiddie, is pretty much like no names.
Yeah. Like Tim Hardaway hasn't even been around, which is actually good for them because I feel like they're better without Tim Hardaway.
Tyler does not like your statement about Luka being better than Giannis if he wins, though.
Hi, Tyler.
And to go on top of that, Tyler also said Warriors in 5 over Dallas.
I honestly, when you think about the Warriors, right, they're down Gary Payton. They're down Andre Iguodala, who hasn't even been around because his neck is fucked up and he's probably not. I'd be surprised if he ever played a game again. Right. If not, he's going to have that Udonis Haslam role where he just sits on the bench and collects a paycheck. Otto Porter's probably going to play in game 1, even though he's one weird move away from breaking his foot again. He's got horrible feet. The guy can't keep his feet healthy. Remember when Lieutenant Dan said in Forrest Gump, "Take care of your feet"?
Yep.
Yeah, Otto Porter did not pay attention to that because the guy's fucking feet are always they're fucked. So basically, I don't have confidence in the Warriors. And Steph Curry's been kind of playing like shit. He kind of shoots like garbage. He had trouble making a free throw a couple times against the Grizzlies. So I am not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Fuck, I'm just fired up. I'm not so confident that the Warriors are a lock even to win in 5 against the Mavericks. The way Luka's been playing, he's a fucking monster.
True. No, Luka, I think right now, out of the remaining teams, the top 3 players in this postseason have been Luka, Tatum, and Jimmy Butler.
Absolutely. And as weird as that sounds, Jimmy Butler, I mean, you know how
Butler's
I feel.
been crazy.
And how about that, too? Joel Embiid basically saying, I wish I had Jimmy Butler, because if I had Jimmy Butler, I would...
Yep.
This shit wouldn't be happening right now.
And Butler even saying that he wishes he was on Embiid's team still.
Well, maybe they'll make that happen.
Maybe.
Who knows?
If it happens, it's going to be in Miami. It's not going to be in Philly, so...
I don't know. I hear James Harden likes Miami.
He's got a lot of favorite strippers down there.
Oh, I didn't say that. You did. I'm just saying he likes the weather.
I'm just calling it like it is.
Yeah, like what a shit show. Like the whole postseason, man. Like the Suns, like they're the best team in the entire league throughout the regular season, and now they're gone. The Grizzlies, their star player goes down. The Bucks just basically, and the Celtics, a team that was like in 10th place at one point throughout the regular season. I was shitting all over them, saying they got to blow this whole fucking thing up. Jaylen Brown and Tatum can't. So basically, the way Tatum is playing now, though, is that Tatum doesn't need a number 2 because he is the number 1 guy. And as evident throughout the series against Milwaukee, Jaylen Brown was a non-factor a couple times. Al Horford had a hot game 4 where he was like 5 for 7 from deep, and he's
Excuse me.
fucking Grant Williams in game 7 comes from nowhere. I mean, this is crazy.
Horford dunked on Giannis.
I mean, it's like, what is going? Like, these playoffs have been awesome.
I know. I love these playoffs. They've been so entertaining, especially because the fact of like, like we talk about parity in the NBA and how when LeBron was on his big tear and the Warriors started their dynasty and everything, parity was a big issue with the NBA. But now it's like, sure, on one side you have the 1 and 2 seed, but those are two teams you didn't expect to still make it there, even if they were the 1 and 2 seed. And then on the other side, you have the 3 and 4 seed. The top 2 seeds got knocked out. So it's crazy on top of the fact that these game 7s have been like demolishments. I don't know if that's even a word, but I'm making it a word.
Yeah.
And
Fuck it.
like, to me, it's also funny because there's been a lot of times that we've seen like instant karma. Like the whole Booker and Chris Paul like making fun of Dallas and things like that. And then boom, destroyed. A laughing stock.
Please, I gotta jump in because at my age I don't remember anything, and I want to make this point. Chris Paul is the last guy who should be saying a word about anybody, especially when it comes to his postseason track record. Again, Chris Paul was hurt last year. He had a hand injury. He went down with a hamstring injury during I think it was 18 where the Rockets were gonna, they were gonna make that run, and they could have made the run had Chris Paul not gotten hurt. Now this time, now it's just he's old,
and a hamstring injury when he was at the Clippers.
So this guy's street clothes, and now he's just old. The window is closing. Literally, you always talk about game planning people off the floor. They game planned Chris Paul off the floor because he's just too old and slow to keep up.
Yep. I mean, and that was the thing with Pat Beverly's whole rant on ESPN. Like, that was hilarious, but at the same time, like, in this postseason, Beverly was kind of right. Like, yeah, younger Chris Paul was an all-defense player. He was one of the best guard defenders in the league. But at 37-year-old Chris Paul, he's a cone.
Now, I think that window is closing now where Chris Paul, I think finally the way he played in that series, like doing nothing, like it wasn't just like one game, he had a bad game. It was like the most important games of the series, the final 3 games at least, he played like complete dog shit. He looked slow and tired. And the Mavs just had his number, man. So the Suns, when you take like Booker or Chris Paul out of the equation, they don't have much in terms of guys they can rely on. Bridges is not a consistent guy. They have Jay Crowder who starts, and he's about 90 at this point.
Crowder absolutely was invisible, like for almost the whole postseason.
But he's a guy who can show up when he needs to.
Right.
But you can't depend on that all the time. And then Deandre Ayton, I don't know what the hell goes on with him, but I mean, I bet you they're kicking themselves in the ass right now for picking Deandre Ayton over 2 other guys that they could have easily drafted, which would have made a massive difference. And I'm talking about Luka and I'm talking about Trae Young.
Yep. But even with Ayton, it was like when you're missing all these threes, why not even try to like go inside a little? Like, I just watched them brick 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. It was at one point I think they were like 5 of 22 from 3, and it was like, get something else. Like, get a different look.
That's their calling card. If they can't get it going on 3-point shots and shooting and stuff like that, then and Chris Paul couldn't even get the other guys going. He's usually good at that, but he could even operate himself, so there was literally no threat for him to score. Usually there's at least a chance that he's either going to score or make a really good pass. Nobody's worried about him. He looked like a complete ass.
Right.
Then you triple
Exactly.
T Booker and you're going to win.
And my big thing about a lot of the teams that I've watched in this postseason too is the moment they're not making as many threes as they expected, the whole game plan just goes to shit. Like it's almost as if a lot of teams' game plan is literally let's just shoot as many threes as we can and see if we make them. Because the moment it's not falling, they don't change anything up other than the teams that are actually succeeding in this postseason. But like Miami Heat, they couldn't shoot the three for shit against Philly. But then they got easy buckets. They got inside. They got in the lane. They started getting like baseline mid-range jumpers. Jimmy Butler was pulling up at the elbow and getting buckets. Like, if you're starting to shoot 5 of 22 from 3, yes, I understand, like, to get out of a shooting slump, you have to keep shooting. But at some point, you have to realize, hey, maybe let's try and work hard to get some easier buckets and then go back out to the 3 now that we have some more confidence instead of just chucking and praying that something's going to go in.
That's like NBA 2K when you don't make threes. You just start throwing them up. But that's what's so good about the NBA, the way it's going right now, is your guys are getting exposed. Harden is exposed because a guy who is just not that good with the new rules and everything. He didn't shoot well this year. Giannis, for fuck's sake. Woof, man. I mean, that guy literally cannot shoot to save his life. I told you he's an upgraded Ben Simmons. He's better in every way than Ben Simmons, but when it comes down to it, that style of, we're going to clog up the middle and not let Giannis get those easy shots. And during that series with Boston, they didn't even have Robert Williams, and they still managed to clog up the middle when Giannis was coming in, and he can't shoot. He can't make free throws consistently. He can't shoot consistently. His shooting numbers were garbage. You shut him down. The number 2 option throughout this series was Drew Holiday, and he played like complete dog shit. Grayson Allen played like complete dog shit. Brooke Lopez played like dog shit. Like, the whole team was dog shit.
And all right, so let's change the topic over to Boston since we have Boston.
I'm sorry, I'm fucking fired up, bro.
No, it's fine. And Alec, who we had on the show before, he says, "Let's go Celtics." The Boston guy over there.
Yeah, we know.
You guys go back and listen to that Celtics episode we had with Alec. Tyler,
maybe we gotta get
Deandre,
Alec on.
Yeah, no, we definitely will.
So
Tyler asked, would DeAndre Ayton get traded? We'll come back to that. I think he will get traded, but we'll come back to that.
No, they were talking. Okay, I'm not going to go into that yet either.
What?
The Ayton thing.
Oh yeah. We'll get back to that. But so yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks just had like a ridiculous amount of shitty performances from everybody on the court. What's your dog's name again?
Bogey.
What's up, Bogey?
Hey, if Tatum could have his kid at the press conference, I can have my dog in my podcast. Exactly.
So, and it was the big thing to me was I actually saw a YouTube video earlier today. I forget the guy's channel name, but we'll put it in the comments or something because it was a good video. But he talked about all the things that Budenholzer did for Milwaukee that like ended up killing them in this series. One of them was the fact that when they played Javon Carter, their defense and their offense was actually much better and much smoother. And then they put in George Hill,
who hadn't played in a month,
who honestly has been toast for like 3-4 seasons at this point. George Hill is not a net positive player. You're just throwing George Hill in there because he's a veteran and like you're just kind of like, maybe he'll do something.
Like George Hill can apply for Medicare at this point.
Pretty much.
So fucking old.
And it's just like, oh, you think your postseason is going to be saved now that George Hill is healthy and you're going to play George Hill over the other guys you have, even Javon Carter? Like, at least Javon Carter gives you some energy defensively.
He does a lot for them, and he's like that.
Right.
The Andre Roberson, the who the fuck was that guy? Tony Allen,
Yeah.
like that kind of guy, like just defense. Like, and you
But
need
he can
guys like
shoot
that.
better than them.
Yeah, I know. I've said before though, I don't ever want him taking a 3-point shot because his shot doesn't look really that good all the time. But as long as he plays
Yeah.
defense, we cool.
Right. I mean, even if he just puts up like 3 to 4 shots a game, that's fine.
But I found it odd that uh, they Brooke Lopez got 39 minutes in Game 7, and Bobby Portis got nothing.
Yeah. What the hell
Like
is
20
that?
minutes. And I'm sorry, but Bobby Portis is a much better player at this point than Brooke Lopez is.
Exactly. And on top of that, it's just like there was just so many questionable decisions in terms of the rotation, in terms of even, when they called timeouts, when they challenged plays, if they even challenged plays. And I mean, it just really looked like Ime Udoka just outcoached Budenholzer by a lot.
It's your coach of the year right there.
Exactly. I didn't mean to plug it just because of that, but he looked like he got outcoached.
You know what you were doing.
I mean, a little bit, but
All right.
not fully intentional.
But yeah, if Middleton was around, I think they would have won that series. However, Middleton's kind of street clothes every once in a while.
True.
So when they lose a guy who's probably like the best consistent shooter on the team, and Drew Holiday played like a giant butthole throughout this entire postseason. Throughout that series, the guy's good, great defensively. He just fucking sucks at shooting.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I saw in one of the games he was like 9 for 21 or 8 for 21 or something.
It was more than one of the games that he was doing that. He just is garbage. And Giannis, the only reason he got points is because he took about 48 shots in Game 7. So, well, not really, but I mean, literally, you could tell he was tired. He played over 40 minutes in 4 straight games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a young kid and all, but when you're playing that many minutes against a team like the Celtics, yeah, we get it. It's the playoffs, but the guy's fucking tired.
Oh, yeah.
What
was the stat line? It was like he was the first person to have like 150 points, 75 rebounds, and 50 assists in a series, and they lost.
Yeah, the Bucks, man. The Bucks are. I think they finally figured out how to stop Giannis. Basically, if he doesn't turn his shooting around, like he needs to. There's no going to Greece. If you're going to go to Greece, that's fine, but it's not going to be party time. It's going to be your ass going to be in the gym shooting.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you just have to. You're giving the defense a surefire way of stopping you if you're not even gonna bother upgrading your shot. I mean, he's upgraded it a lot as is, like from where it was when he first started playing. Like it was god awful then, but at this point, you gotta start fine tuning stuff. I mean, and on Boston side of things, they're maximizing the efforts of every role player. I mean, Grant Williams went out, got 27 points in that Game 7. Al Horford has turned back into the great Al Horford that he was the first time he was on the Celtics.
He did. He did play. He only scored 16 points across the final 3 games of the series, which is worrisome if Jaylen Brown's not. I mean, Grant Williams. Thank God he was so hot. I mean, he scored 27 points. He led the entire game on Sunday.
Right.
But now it's going to be interesting because Horford's out for Game 1 with protocols, and Marcus Smart is out.
Yeah, that's a big hit losing both of them in the first game. Is Kyle Lowry back yet, or is he still hurt?
Nope, he's hurt. And I told you before, you're going to hear.
Oh yeah.
He didn't practice or he took part in a light practice. Don't keep him off the floor.
I know. You're going to keep hearing these, he's ramping up to play.
Well, I don't care. He hasn't. For what? He missed. He got hurt in Game 3 against the Hawks. Came back for 2 games. It was an embarrassment. Ran around holding his hamstring the entire time he was on the floor, bitching and complaining like a asshole. And now he's out. And I'd rather have Victor Oladipo getting more minutes. I'd rather have fucking Strus getting more minutes. I'd rather have Gabe Vincent at this point getting more minutes. And the way Jimmy Butler's been playing without Lowry, fuck that. I would have fucked this up.
And let's not forget too, in that Sixers series, Duncan Robinson played like maybe a total of 15 minutes.
But I saw the day the last time we were on, you were talking about Duncan Robinson. I forget which game it was. I think Game 6 or something. I saw Duncan Robinson. I was like, yeah, holy shit, there he is. Of course, he only played like 38 seconds, but you know.
Right. But it's like now with Boston. I mean, depending on what their game plan is against Boston, Duncan Robinson might get more minutes now, especially with Lowry still hurt. And that just adds more three-point shooting. The only thing is with Duncan Robinson, the guy is tissue paper on defense, but he has to hit like 7 threes just to make up for the terrible effort on the defensive end.
Yeah, I don't think they need him. I think the Strus is 12 points a game throughout the postseason. And I swear to God, I remember all this stuff. I'm not looking at anything. 12 points. Gabe Vincent can get hot when he wants to, but I think it should be more Oladipo. I think Oladipo's should be considered a viable number 3. Like they should be. They need a revelation to where they say, "Holy fuck, we got Victor Oladipo on our team." Remember him? He was like one of the best players in the league at one point.
Yeah, he's slowly but surely getting back up to like old Victor Oladipo things. Like he's not somebody you can take lightly anymore. And on top of that, like we just said, with Al Horford being out that first game, I mean, who's covering Bam? Especially is Robert Williams back?
Okay, and that's another thing. They said he was available for Game 7.
I'll bring that up too, yep.
Thank you, because this bothered me too. So they say Robert Williams is available. He's listed on the injury report as available, which drives me nuts with the NBA injury report. They say the guy's available. Okay, but somebody needs to look into this, because if you say somebody's available, especially a guy of that caliber who was playing 25 minutes. He wasn't back to where
he was starting.
Yeah, he was starting, but he was playing less than he was because he wasn't fully healthy. And then Ime's sitting out there saying his left knee is fine. It's structurally sound. It has nothing to do with the surgery he had in March, blah, blah, blah. And then you don't see him at all.
Right.
And they say he's going to play as needed. So you're telling me there wasn't 1 second during that Game 7 where he wasn't needed?
Yeah, not a single point in the game.
Not 1 second, not even from like a point from like the free throw line, like he could come in and get a rebound or something. There was not, there was not 1 point there. I mean, that's kind of shady to me a little bit.
I mean, the Sixers did get fined for not disclosing Joel Embiid's active status early enough. Right. So the fact that you're saying, oh, this guy's available, that changes people's game plans, because his defensive prowess is something you actually have to worry about. That's something you have to game plan against to get around his defense. And on top of that, he's also a rim running threat. He's a rebounding threat. I mean, he does do a lot of things that, as the opposing team, you have to worry about when he's in. So...
yeah. They need to, there should never be any of this game, you're going to figure out if a guy can play right at the tip off. You have no idea whether this guy can play until within 5 minutes of opening tip.
Right.
I mean, they got to do something about that, because that's,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But, and then on the flip side, you have Miami literally listing their entire roster on the injury report for anything. A mosquito bite, they're going on there.
At one point, there was like 6 guys on it in like Game 5 against the Sixers.
Yeah,
I was like,
Lowry
oh,
was
all right, the whole team's just out.
Lowry was a hamstring. Struce's
Yep.
hamstring. Gabe Vincent was right knee irritation in the previous series. Now he's hamstring. PJ Tucker has had a right calf strain for about 9 years at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's like Butler was on there for a little bit, against the Hawks. With the knee soreness.
Butler didn't even play the last game of the Hawks series.
No, which I was like, I mean, we talked about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't play a playoff game.
Right. So before we get to some of the conference finals previews, let's go back real quick to Tyler's question. Do you think DeAndre Ayton gets traded?
No, because I heard them talking about locking him up. So I don't think that's happening.
I don't know, because there was all that stuff about DeAndre Ayton saying like they don't value him enough, they don't like try and use him on offense enough, and stuff like that. I could, especially if they don't think Chris Paul is the answer. I think they could just trade Ayton and Paul and try and get whatever they can in return for that.
For
like
who?
if that gets them like
John Wall,
Zach LaVine, or like a Bradley Beal, or Damian Lillard.
I mean, Lillard, okay.
I mean, somebody in that echelon, it could, especially with Ayton attached to it, being a very young, very good big man, maybe they get something done out of that.
I think they got to run it back one more time.
I agree. I think they should not trade him, but for some reason I have a gut feeling that they will trade him. I don't think they should.
The way he plays, though, he doesn't really contribute that much to the Suns. That can't be contributed by somebody else. I mean, yeah, he's
JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee. They're better off with JaVale McGee on the floor sometimes. So if you could put, Ayton's brain into, switch their bodies, Ayton's and JaVale McGee, so that McGee's about 10 years younger, they would be in a much better situation than they are now. Because even when Bismack Biyombo got on the floor, they were playing.
They played really well with him on the floor.
Yeah, so, I mean, he doesn't offer that much. And I think if somebody's going to, throw, the kitchen sink to get him,
somebody's going to give him money.
I'd be like, send me De'Aaron Fox. Send me Sabonis. Send me Halliburton. Send me somebody. Or can we just go back in time and redo the 2018 NBA draft and get Luka Doncic? Or Trae Young. One of them. Imagine Trae Young on that team.
Oh, that'd be insane. Him and Devin Booker on the same team?
You'd lights out.
Yeah. That offense would be ridiculous.
This is why I hate rookies, though. Rookies don't mean a damn thing. I don't care who's highly touted coming out of college and who was great in college. College don't mean shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the NBA is a way different game than college, way different game than even the G League. So,
and LaMelo Ball, he didn't play in college. I mean, UCLA, but he goes overseas and he comes back. He's NBA ready, right away. And then they talk about throwing D'Antoni with him.
Yeah, is that you want to talk about that now?
I didn't even know that's what we were going to talk about, but okay.
I mean, hey, that was one of the topics you sent me.
Well, I sent you about 50. So.
I mean, you did. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say Mike D'Antoni's a bad coach, because I don't think he's a bad coach. I just feel like I just don't see his philosophy and his play style equating to a championship, ever. Especially in today's game.
I think it'd be good for... Good.
I was just going to say, I think his closest chance of winning a championship was with those Phoenix Suns teams. Ever since then, I don't think he's going to get there.
Or with the Rockets, there's a couple years. Where
Well, he had some good years there too, but then he had Harden who chokes and Chris Paul who gets hurt.
I mean, imagine though if you had a guy who was like offensive minded like that. Um, Even though Borrego wasn't a bad coach, but
He was decent.
I mean, I don't think he should have been fired.
Yeah, I agree.
But you have D'Antoni comes in, and all of a sudden he speeds things up. LaMelo Ball will certainly benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges could benefit from that.
Oh, for sure.
So the Hornets have the pieces. They just got to get. They need to move on from Gordon Hayward.
Yes, agreed.
He's old at this point, and it's unfortunate because he's just been so. Ever since he broke his foot, that compound fracture on that opening night game when he was with Boston, he hasn't been the same since, and it's horrible because, I mean, it took the Celtics a while to get back from that. So
And before he broke it, he was looking like he was on his way to being like a top 15 player in the league. Like Hayward was good.
he got the money.
Yeah, true.
He got the money, so.
At least he got that part going for him.
But I could, I still remember. The hell's the commentator's name? Kevin Harlan saying, and he called it. He's like, Gordon Hayward broke his leg, and they didn't even. But he called it immediately. You go and look, and his ankle is just like flopping.
Oh, that was ugh.
Those compound fractures are the worst.
And Paul George did that too.
Well, Paul George, holy shit! I mean, that one I think was worse because he like broke his leg up higher.
Yeah.
And it was like more disgusting. Dak did it. Dak got a compound fracture.
I think the worst one I'll ever see is still that Kevin Ware from Louisville when he did it in
the March Madness. Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah.
Joe Theismann had it happen to him.
Yeah. Alex Smith.
Oh, Alex Smith, worst of all time. I mean, the guy almost died terrible because of it.
Yeah, that was god awful. But anyway, so that we don't throw up from injuries. Yeah, I think D'Antoni's a decent fit because I feel like he does fit well with young, like offensive-minded teams that, especially with playmakers. Like LaMelo Ball is a very good playmaker. James Harden is a very good playmaker. Steve Nash, very good playmaker. Like this type of point guard is definitely the type to play in Mike D'Antoni's offense. But I still think ultimately, if this team ever gets to a championship, it's going to be with a different coach, not Mike D'Antoni.
But I think you need somebody to develop Melo, who I think can be better than John Morant. Like I am convinced that LaMelo Ball is going to be, and Tyler's probably going to say I'm smoking crack again, but I'm convinced that Melo is going to finish as a better player over John Morant.
I mean, I don't think that's completely out of this world to say. I think that's,
of course, it's not
plausible, especially just because of the fact that John Morant needs to stay healthy. But
street clothes,
exactly. But overall, yeah, I mean, I think it's like I think he'll definitely develop LaMelo. I think LaMelo will definitely get better in this type of offense. They'll be solid. I think they'll probably be like a like an 8th seed type of deal, and then
it all depends on how well Melo plays.
True. I mean, it also depends what they add to this team.
Well, you need to get rid of Gordon Hayward for one, and
right.
Add somebody.
It was a good call. They got rid of Devontae Graham when they did.
Yeah, but he played well in Charlotte, and then he goes to New Orleans, and then all of a sudden, like, he does nothing.
He can't shoot for anything.
Yeah,
Tyler actually agrees with you.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, so I'm 1 for 2.
Yeah, there you go. Got 50%.
better than Giannis's free throw average.
True. So something I want to talk about. We'll do the conference finals previews for last because that's about to be happening. I think the draft lottery is happening right now, and then the Celtics game starts after that. So these two are kind of mixed together, but I'm going to start with this question first. Who is at fault for the garbage that took place in Philadelphia? Doc Rivers or Daryl Morey? I want to hear what you have to say before I go on a rant here because it's going to be annoying.
Well, at first I thought it was Doc's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I don't think Morey would have slept at night until he did everything he possibly could to get James Harden in Philadelphia, which was a horrendous move. He gave up a lot to get Harden in Philadelphia. He didn't need to make that trade. That trade did not benefit him at all by any means. You end up giving up Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. You gave up multiple first-round picks, and you gave up Ben Simmons for a guy who wasn't playing well in Brooklyn. And then you bring him to Philly, and he plays even worse. If you look at how he played in the game 6, you take 2 points that second, two shots that second half.
Yeah, and didn't even make any of them.
Well, that's not surprising with him because he's just complete garbage. But now we're literally talking about this guy. You got to figure out what you're going to do with him because you don't want that guy. You're probably going to get nothing for him if he doesn't agree to take a cut and pay. Because he knows he's not going to get any more money anywhere else, so he's going to pick up his player option. And then after that is when the fun really starts. What are we doing with this guy? Are we going to keep him? Because he's going to want max money, especially if he starts to play a little bit better than he did this season. But ultimately, I still am not convinced that Doc's a good coach, even though he did redeem himself by winning 2 games there throughout that series. But then they just fell apart. But now I'm blaming it on Morey because I feel like he's so in love with James Harden that he literally gave up his entire team to get him, and at the end of the day, they're not going to have anything to show for it.
Agreed, and I'm saying I'm blaming both, and I know that might be the easy answer.
Can you give a percentage on?
I would say probably 70% Morey, 30% Rivers.
Okay. I
because
think that's good.
Exactly, and the main thing here is, and I've been very critical of Doc Rivers throughout his whole time in Philly, and I agree with you. I'm still not convinced he's a good coach either. His only championship still is with one of the best teams in NBA history that had 4 Hall of Famers on it, and on top of that, he only got them 1 championship with that same exact core. Other than that, all he's known for really is blowing a bunch of leads, especially 3-1 leads. And apparently there's this thing going around that players love his practices because they don't do much at practice. Cool, that's fine for older players and everything like that. But if your team's not playing up to their potential, maybe you need to go a little harder in practice. Maybe that's what the team actually might need.
I mean, I don't think James Harden needs to get into shape.
Oh yeah, he's in elite shape. Man only dunked once in the entire time he was with the Sixers.
I've never seen a guy get fat and skinny faster than James Harden.
Oh, I know. He needs to share his diet plan and everything. Tyler just asked a question here. How many years did that Celtics team play together? I think it was 4 seasons?
Sure.
Well, so Doc Rivers was their coach from 04-05 all the way until 2012-2013. And they won, I think they were together from 07-08 until until Paul Pierce got traded, because that's when he got traded with everyone to the Nets. So that was 2012. So about like 5-6 seasons.
Yeah, but we got
Um,
we got to think though. Those guys started to weather away though after a while.
no, they did, but I mean, either way, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, the my big thing with Doc Rivers too is he doesn't develop young talent. The only reason Tyrese Maxey developed is because he had to. Ben Simmons wasn't playing. They didn't have any other guards.
And honestly, Maxey didn't convince me throughout the postseason that he was a guy that you can rely on.
Right. And then you hear about the things of Tyrese Maxey too. Like apparently he asked Doc Rivers like what he needed to work on, like right after they lost. And Doc was like, no, you need to take a break, like take a vacation, whatever. Like I understand you saying that someone needs to take a vacation and like get a little, get a little air. But if this kid in his second year after making a ginormous leap from his rookie season is coming up to you and asking personally what he needs to work on and wanting to get into the gym, just give it to him and let him work on it because that kid's going to help save your job probably.
He don't need a vacation. He's fucking like 20 years old.
Exactly.
He doesn't need rest.
And he loves being in the gym. If he's not burning out from being in the gym as much as he has already, he's probably fine. Like, I understand the sentiment, but at the same time, Doc, you have your own job to save. So you might as well let him start working on something. And on top of that, he started getting all up in arms anytime reporters would ask about, like, Paul Reed or Charles Bassey or Jaden Springer, or any other rookie or second-year, third-year player. He'd be all up in arms like, oh, would you ask Popovich that and all this shit? And I'm like, they wouldn't ask you about this in the playoffs of Paul Reed playing and everything if you gave them more minutes during the season. Paul Reed wouldn't be looking like fucking Bambi on the court, tripping over his own feet, not even being able to catch a ball, if maybe you played him a little bit more and he got used to playing with the team.
And where the fuck's Isaiah Joe?
Exactly. That guy's a good three-point shooter. Yes, he needs to upgrade his defensive abilities and stuff like that, but that doesn't happen with not playing. You don't get better by just sitting on the bench.
You don't need Paul Reed, though, because you got DeAndre Jordan, all right? So, pardon me, all right? But they have DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, I know. And they have Paul Millsap, too.
Yes, Paul Millsap.
And it took everyone pointing out the fact that DeAndre Jordan was a whopping like minus 23 in 17 minutes. The team outscored Miami by like 22 or 23 with him off the court and got outscored by like 23 when he was on the court. How do you not understand that it's a terrible idea to play him? And on top, he even said that in an interview. His assistant coaches told him that Charles Bassey's ready to play and like he has this skill, he has this talent, and that he should play him. He's like, yeah, my assistant coaches have been saying that all season. Okay, then where the fuck is he? Like, are you telling us that you don't trust your assistant coaches? Are you telling us that you don't like Bassey?
No, because he doesn't want to lose his job to one of them.
Exactly. And my thing is just like, so you're telling us that they think he's ready to play, but you're not playing him. So what exactly are you saying?
But like Dave Yeager's probably licking his lips right now. It's like, that job is mine soon.
Oh, and even Sam Cassell too. They're probably both like, all right, one of us is next.
I go with Dave Yeager.
I probably would too. I like Dave Yeager. He's a really good coach. But then, so on to Daryl Morey. I don't know what his love affair is with James Harden. I don't know if James Harden like paid him off or like whatever it might be. But the fact that he
took him to strip clubs.
There you go. The fact that he turned down all these other deals and like the Tyrese Halliburton thing. They talked about, trading for Ben, Matisse, and maybe a pick or some other young player that they had. the way that Matisse was unplayable in the postseason, and I've been a Matisse fan. I've been a guy that has defended Matisse because of his defensive abilities, but he was unplayable this year. He literally would be on the floor for like a few minutes, and you had to get him off because he was getting abused, and he can't hit a shot to save his life.
I think he averaged 2 points throughout the postseason.
Exactly. In like 10 to 15 minutes a game or something.
Which goes back to my point, which I've said this a long time ago, but I'm going to say it again. You don't know what you got until it's gone.
True. But I mean, this isn't even...
At that time, but I finally think you're starting to realize the grass wasn't greener on the other side in this one.
I mean, it could have been, just not the way that it happened.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't trust Morey or even Elton Brand to make a sufficient decision to it's not like they've drafted well.
I mean, that's true.
So,
I mean, they did draft Tyrese Maxey. They did draft Maxey.
I'm talking like they could have had Tatum.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that was that even Elton Brand, or was that Colangelo? I think that was Colangelo.
Yeah, we'll lump them all in together.
I mean, I hate Colangelo, so I'll blame it on him.
I want to say it was Elton Brand. We'll
I mean, Brand was the one that signed Al Horford to that crazy-ass contract.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, Al Horford's not... I just love when Horford went to the Thunder and he didn't do a goddamn thing, and everybody thought he's washed up, and now he's in Boston again. Shit hot.
He's meant to be in Boston.
Yeah.
But so, like, you're telling me they could have made that deal, and this postseason could have had Halliburton in there instead of James Harden. While, yes, I know it's only Halliburton's second year, whatever it may be, inexperience coming into the postseason, blah, 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 blah. But at least he would have gave a shit. At least he would have hustled. At least he wouldn't have just watched a rebound come off the rim when your team is down by fucking 20 points and let Jimmy Butler just pick the ball up, hit a three, and even say, wow, right at James Harden and the Philly fans.
That's like, when like you have a crush on a girl in 10th grade. I mean, not now. I mean, when you were in high school.
Right.
When you have a crush on a girl, like you're in 10th grade and then they're in 10th grade.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden she doesn't look okay, but then summer hits. Next thing you know, she goes up 2 cup sizes. And you're like, God, I should have gave that up. Every guy knows what I'm talking about. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
No, I do. I'm agreeing.
There's always that girl who, she would give you the eye, but you wouldn't give her the time of day, or you didn't value her the way she was supposed to be. Next thing you know, fucking July and August hit, and she's working at TCBY scooping ice cream over the summer. Next thing you know, she comes back, she's got fucking lip gloss on, and and you're like, wow. Right?
Are you saying that's Jimmy Butler?
I don't know what I'm trying to fucking say at this point, but yeah, it's Jimmy.
No, I mean, and that's... Go ahead.
I mean, look, they basically chose Ben Simmons over him.
Yes.
Tobias Harris, and he even said it. They took Tobias over me, and granted, Jimmy Butler is a pain in the ass. He's an asshole. He's injury prone, but if you could get that guy to play like he's playing, like now, that's all you need him for. You could be an 8th seed, and as long as he plays that well, and you win a championship, who cares?
And he loves playing with Joel Embiid. And on top of that, the type of attitude and fire and competitiveness that Jimmy Butler has is the exact type of player that the Sixers need. They haven't had anybody like that for the longest time. And that is always what's missing. The Sixers have a guy that comes up and hits him in the mouth, and the Sixers just back down every single time because they don't have anybody to hit back.
Yeah, this love fest isn't over by any means. I think we're going to hear some more about this for sure.
Oh yeah, and my thing is, I'll stop ranting in a little bit here, but I also wanted to just get to my big thing with Daryl Morey too, is the fact that so now, you did this whole thing with James Harden. Now James Harden is up for his player option, let alone his next re-signing. I mean, his player option is for $47 million or something like that. He's not even worth a third of that at this point. And on top of that,
he can't even play a third of the season.
Exactly. He can't even fucking dunk the ball anymore. He dunked the ball once. Danny Green dunked it once this postseason. You dunked as many times as Danny Green. Congratulations.
Right.
But my thing too
Danny
is just
Green could probably still dunk more than he does now.
With the torn ACL and everything.
Yeah, he's fucked up.
And my big thing too is the fact that throughout this postseason, I saw James Harden have one really good game. And the rest of it, he put up a little bit of points. He distributed well. He's still a very good passer. But when I watch him on defense, I want to rip my eyes out every time. When I watch him have to come up with any sort of hustle play over any other player on the court, he never fucking gets it once. Even a time where a rebound is bouncing right at him, he still doesn't get it. Like, the fact that I literally, for some reason, I mean, this is partially my own fault. The fact that I was still sitting on the couch watching them lose by 20 in the fourth quarter. And the fact that at one point they gave up 4 offensive rebounds in the same possession because Butler and PJ Tucker were just running around them grabbing the rebound. What the fuck are you getting paid for?
Butler doesn't even look like he puts an effort in on anything. Or not Butler, Harden.
No. Literally nothing. And the fact that he had the fucking nerve to say at the end of the game he was just oh, the ball didn't come back to me to take more shots in the second half. You're the point guard. You start with the ball.
Not only that, you're fucking James Harden.
Exactly. The ball shouldn't have to come back to you. You should do something with it.
Moron.
And I will say, from the very start, I was not a fan of James Harden. All of Philly, was so hype. And they all thought they were getting Houston James Harden. There was no evidence that they were going to get anything close to Houston James Harden, but all the fans wanted to believe they were. Yet, you watched him in Brooklyn, and he did the same exact shit.
It was rough, and I'm glad you understand, because, yeah, it was rough.
It was bad. But I at least had... Tyler just said I was venting. This is what Sixers do to us fans. Exactly.
Tyler's a Sixers guy?
Yeah, he lives around here too.
He does?
Yeah. Yeah, he actually lives in the same neighborhood as Deanna's parents.
I want Tyler to come on the show, but then I kind of don't, because I want him to, remain. He adds so much value just from that.
Oh, I know. Like I said, you can't have a show if Tyler's not here.
I won't.
Exactly. We never will. So, that being said, let's wrap some things up here. Let's talk about the finals preview.
Yeah, we got games 1 kicking off here, so.
So, let's actually preview that one first real quick. So, Heat versus Celtics. Heat, the number 1 seed. As we talked about earlier tonight, Horford and Marcus Smart both out for game 1. what do you think about this series? Who you got winning? Who do you think is going to be like the MVP of the series? That kind of stuff. What do you got?
The Heat are gonna take this, I think, especially now. I mean, Smart's foot is really fucked up, and nobody's like
True.
talking about how fucked up his foot is. But in Game 7, he was hobbling off the floor. Um, Even if he can come back for Game 2, which it doesn't look too good, but even if he does, he's not going to be 100%. Um, who knows if Al Horford's coming back? Excuse me. Who
I mean, he
knows?
should at some point. I think, right? They only got
I
to
mean,
be.
sorry. Who knows if Al Horford's coming back by Game 2?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. All right, he'll be back, but is he going to be back by Game 2?
Right.
Does he have COVID? If he has COVID,
Right.
he's fucked. He might not come back throughout the postseason, even though it just might just be a rules thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're going to figure out how to get to Tatum in this series, and I think Jaylen Brown's going to have to step up. We're going to have Derek White's going to have to step up, even Grant Williams, because I don't think you're going to get much out of Robert Williams at all.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's been hurting too. So
I think guys like for the Heat, I think you leave Lowry out. You keep rolling with Strus and Oladipo and Gabe Vincent and Bam and PJ Tucker and Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin and that nucleus of guys right there is enough because we've said it before. The Heat has such a deep roster, and it's made up of guys like nobody really like cares about or know,
like a bunch of undrafted guys.
Yeah, like the casual fans aren't going to know who Max Strus is, but the guy starts for the team.
Or even Gabe Vincent. A lot of people don't even know him.
He starts every time Lowry is out. Yeah. Even Dedmon. You might have to get Dedmon involved in a little bit. He was pivotal in just being there to get shit stopped by Joel Embiid, but for some reason they were making such a big deal about Dwayne Dedmon coming in. We need Dwayne Dedmon. I'm like, what do you need him for? He plays 11 fucking minutes. You need him
he
that
had like
bad?
4 fouls in 4 minutes at
yeah,
one point.
that's why I was like, you might as well just play like Yurt 7 or however the fuck you pronounce his name.
I think it's close to that.
Yeah.
I actually, before I found out that Horford and Smart were out game 1, I actually thought Boston would win in 6. But now with them out, and especially with how bad it's looked with Marcus Smart's foot and ankle, and then Horford now in protocols, and we don't know when the hell he's coming back. I kind of want to lead towards the Heat, but I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Boston in 7.
I'm going to say Heat in 6, 4-2.
Okay.
I like how they just say Heat. I like when they say like people tested positive. They don't even say for what anymore. They just say tested. So-and-so tested positive. It's like what?
Because now it's
syphilis? Does he have syphilis? AIDS? Like what does he have?
For their part, I hope not.
Well, I mean, Magic Johnson's doing fine.
That's a good point. Speaking of which, I'm still watching Winning Time. That's a good show.
I know. I got to get on that. But once basketball's over, like I got depressed because I was like, basketball's over. I'm fucked.
I know. I mean, we have that fantasy draft probably after basketball season, so at least that'll hold us over for like a month.
But thank God in July, middle part of July, NFL training camp starts.
True.
And that's the best time of the year right there.
I think I just saw something posted today that it was like 122 days until NFL Red Zone's first Sunday.
I was thinking about that last night. I just miss like Scott Hansen. I miss his voice.
It's the best. Sundays, literally, I don't do anything.
No.
My fiance and I are on the couch watching football, bitching about our fantasy team and bitching about the Steelers and the Ravens.
Right. And there's plenty of bitch about when it comes to the Ravens.
I mean,
They just
I will
treated Marquise
say
Brown.
yes, but I will at least say that the Ravens have given me more happy times than the Sixers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would
Like
say so.
I can't wear a shirt like this for the Sixers.
True.
Unless I want to wear one from 1983.
I do like the Ray. I do love Lamar Jackson. I think he gets a. I mean, he's a great quarterback.
Oh, I agree. Lamar's the man.
All right. Well, hour number 2 is going to be the NFL podcast. I just can't get into baseball though. I get so fucking bored.
Baseball is way too boring for me. I'm not much of a hockey guy either. Hockey's definitely more exciting than baseball and everything, but I'm just not much of a hockey guy.
No, I was watching on Saturday when there was no basketball. I was watching the late hockey games, and it was the Oilers and the Kings, and that was a good one.
Okay.
But
Tyler says, you know the good stuff with NFL training camp.
it's the best time of the year. There's nothing like it's so exciting because you're just like, God, the weather starts to turn. And then once I get through that, 5 days of depression when the season turns, some reason my body does weird things and I'm like, it's going to snow and my brain automatically starts hating things. But then I start, my wife starts cooking food like chili and I'm setting 800 DFS lineups. And
that's the one thing that I actually cook and that I cook well is chili.
You got to have it more meaty. Like you can't you can't have more juice. Like my wife one time said, I don't have any beans or I don't have this kind of beans. I go, don't even put beans in it. Replace the beans
definitely
with
you need like 60 to probably 70% meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then 30% everything else.
And then I'll throw them on some hot dogs and make some chili dogs.
Oh, there you go.
Or I'll roll with a little
some cheese and sour cream and all that.
What do you think? I'm a fucking amateur?
Just saying.
So, but I don't like hold the dog when I eat it. I just put the hot dogs down and then I just cover my wife does. She knows how I like it. I love my wife. She puts chili on it and then just everything. It's like a slop of chili on hot dogs.
Yes.
With sour cream.
When I was living in Pittsburgh still, there was a Chicago dog place from a guy that was moved over from Chicago, and I had an authentic Chicago dog with the chili and the relish and the pickles and the everything on there, and damn, that thing was good.
I gotta
Tyler's
Thank
with
you,
us
Tyler.
on chili too.
Yeah. And then you eat the Cincy chili, you throw a little spaghetti, sour cream, chili, toe curler.
Yep.
Make your eyes roll back of your head.
Just like that blue water ice.
I've been killing lately is those Outshine bars.
Outshine? I don't think I've heard of those.
They're like I don't know. I like the lemon lime ones.
Okay.
I'll eat three a pop of those. It was Yasso a couple weeks ago, but now we're.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying Yasso, and I have had those. Yasso are good ones.
I gotta send you down though. Some we have Hoffman hot dogs around here.
Hoffman hot dogs.
And they
is that just a type of hot dog itself, or
Yeah, it's a brand of hot dog.
Oh, a brand of hot dog. Okay.
Right, but it's only around here. But it's the best hot dog. You'll know what I'm talking about. Once you eat it, you'll be like, holy shit, this hot dog is fantastic. Trust me.
I'm down to try it. Anyway, the last conference finals preview, Warriors versus Mavericks, the 3 versus 4 seed. Who you got?
What kind of food do you think they serve in the Bay Area?
It's definitely something like vegan.
Yeah, probably something stupid. I'd rather eat at Dallas. So you probably got a brisket sandwich with, you know what I mean?
They probably have a fucking steak.
like a half a cow.
Yeah, yeah. They probably have like those. What are they called? Like the brew house burger, like the brew house like authentic beef burgers,
Yeah,
stuff like
you
that.
go to Golden State, you're gonna get tofu sushi California roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Some bullshit.
And then you go to Dallas and get some nice barbecue.
Right.
Get some ribs.
Right.
Now I'm really fucking hungry. And I just
Well,
had dinner before coming on here.
yeah, I went to Chick-fil-A before I came here, or before I was on here.
Ooh, I haven't had Chick-fil-A in a while. I love
It's not
Chick-fil-A.
really that good. I just wanted a shake, and I was like, well, I'm there. I might as well get a chicken sandwich. But it's like if I don't know, it's not as cracked up as people make it out to be.
Even though we haven't even talked about it, it's somehow making me want Dairy Queen now too.
I ordered 2 blizzards the other night on DoorDash by myself.
DoorDash is a savior.
No, it wasn't a blizzard. It was a blizzard and then a Mr. Freeze with soft serve ice cream mixed with it.
Oh, okay.
I know
That
what I'm
sounds
doing.
good.
Yeah, it was
Oh
good.
yeah. But anyway, who you got for this series?
You want to know something? I said it at the start, man. Like the way I'm just thinking about ice cream now. The way Luka Doncic has been playing,
Uh-huh.
like he's there, man. Like the only if Steph Curry like doesn't play like Steph Curry and struggles
Mm-hmm.
shooting, and if Klay Thompson doesn't get his shit together, if Wiggins doesn't step up, uh, they're in trouble. I mean, Luka is not John Morant. He's better by far. He can do way more things than Morant can do.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that guy is a difference. I think we are. If the Mavericks make the finals, I think the Mavericks could win the NBA championship. And I think this is going to be the passing of the torch to
Mm-hmm.
Luka, and we're going to go into the era now of Luka, which
Okay.
I love because the guy's an asshole. He doesn't care who he's friends with. He's shit talking everybody. He annoys everybody. And it's fantastic. I worry his emotions might get the better of him sometimes. He's got to think about what he does before he starts flapping his jaw.
True.
And Draymond's not going to put up with any of that garbage. Steph's not going to put up with any
That's
of
for
that.
sure.
So just let his play do the talking. But I honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I still think the Warriors might have the edge, but I still think that the Mavericks are playing too well right now, and it would not shock me at all if they beat the Warriors.
Okay. I got Warriors in 7 because I think this is the last good run that they have with these guys.
Yeah, I when you look at Draymond Green, he's like starting to fall apart. He's been falling
Mm-hmm.
apart for years with injuries. Clay looks good, but you get nervous like he's one weird step away from, you know, going down again.
And
Wiggins,
I just think that Steph too is on the way of becoming like Ray Allen, where he'll start to become like just that like really really good shooter on the team, but he's not going to be your number one superstar anymore.
he's 34 years old.
Exactly, and I
Like
mean that
there's,
was when Ray started doing that same thing. So,
but he's a better shooter than Ray Allen is. So I
oh,
think
I agree.
he could get by with even just shooting from half court and making it. You know what I mean? But
True.
um,
I just mean the type of role that Ray ended up playing.
yeah, I don't know if it'll be that bad for Steph Curry. Like Ray Allen was like a Kyle Korver kind of guy. He got like, okay, let's bring him in to. Yeah, he was more of an upgrade than like Kyle Korver was, but
Right.
in the sense of, I mean, like shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Like Ray Allen wasn't Ray Allen. He was Ray Allen to come in and make sure the Heat won a championship.
Right. I mean, I don't think Steph is going to turn into that like next season. I just think like that's now his downslope.
I mean, Steph was in an MVP conversation early in the season, and had he
True.
not got injured, like
True.
I think he might still be like reeling from the effects of the injury. But had he not got injured, things would be much different.
Oh, completely agreed.
So not bad for especially too. Klay Thompson didn't really come back till like not too long ago, and he
No, for
didn't
sure.
really. Most of his action has been in the postseason, which is not an easy time to play. Wiggins has to be consistent. He can't be on and off.
Wiggins really needs to show up.
Not having
Jordan Poole
Gary,
has been great.
Yeah, Jordan Poole though can shit the bed every once in a while. He had some
True.
weird performances against Memphis, and Kevon Looney had 20 boards at one game. I think
Yeah, that was insane.
I mean, I was like,
I had to
holy
look at the
shit.
box score a few times to see if that was real.
I mean, they're another team. They're probably looking at themselves and going, "We're stuck with James Wiseman." You know what I mean?
True. No, it's true.
I mean, everybody's like, "What? I don't. What is Wiseman gonna do?"
I mean, nobody knows also because he's been street close.
He's horrendous street clothes. There's a chance he might not. He's aiming to play in the summer camp or summer league, but there's a chance he might not even start the regular season.
Right.
He's had so many setbacks. So,
Which is crazy because he's been out all year.
oh, he's had way more than enough time. They were talking about him coming back at Christmas. Him and Klay coming
Right.
back together on Christmas.
Right.
I was
And then
like,
they were
okay.
like, maybe like
January.
January, and then maybe February.
Yeah. Nope.
Just getting
Nah.
pushed back month after month after month.
It would not surprise me if the Mavericks are playing really good team basketball, and the Warriors play good team basketball, but Luka is capable of playing. I don't want to say playing with himself because that wouldn't really sound too good.
I mean,
But
he is capable of it.
He's capable, as most of us guys are, but he's capable, but he's also capable of playing. He does it in a way where he's playing with his team and
Right.
not just completely ignoring them throughout the entire game.
Right. So what's your final prediction then?
I'm going to say the Mavericks. So I think the Mavericks can do this in 6.
Okay. All right. So I have Warriors in 7 and Celtics in 7, and you have Heat in 6 and Mavericks in 6.
Yes.
All right.
Especially home court doesn't mean anything, but
True.
somebody needs to win. I think the Mavericks have a better chance of winning on somebody else's floor than the Celtics do against the Heat right now. So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
All right. Well, unless you have anything else to get off your chest, I think that is it for us.
No, I'm good.
Now I just want to get ice cream.
We went last night and got it.
I might have to get DoorDash now that you said that from earlier.
I mean, I wouldn't steer you wrong, pal. I don't know a lot about a lot of things. I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Right.
But one thing I do know a lot about is food.
Hey, food is what keeps everybody going. So, I mean,
And if I had your metabolism, it'd be perfect.
trust me, it's not just pure metabolism. I torture myself by trying to ride a damn bike for 200 miles a month. Sucks.
You're going to have testicular problems doing that.
I hope not. I hope I'm not a Lance Armstrong.
You better
Oh, am I
go.
allowed to say that?
I mean, nobody's listening anyway, so who cares?
At this point, probably not.
So, we thought we were checking out an NBA podcast, but all these the fat guy in the fucking skinny guy who looks like he has cancer, fucking just talking about food. And I bet you're the fat guy. I'm the skinny guy. Looks like he has cancer.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But all right.
But you don't really look like you have cancer, just when you shave your head.
Honestly, I used to before I started being able to gain weight, because with Crohn's, I was not able to gain weight, and I was 115 pounds, but the same height and everything.
I was like, don't tell me you had cancer.
Oh, no. I used to look like it. But, yeah. Anyway, that's it for us.
Bye.
Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications when we go live. It lets you know every time we go live because our schedule changes every week.
I think if we tell them not to hit the subscribe button, that would work.
That too. Maybe don't hit the subscribe
Don't hit it. I don't want anybody
Don't do
doing that.
Just don't do it. We're also everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe on there, share it with a friend. Thank you to everybody watching on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We are the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast and the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. And we will catch you guys next week. Peace.